Ideally, again, the valves need to be non-corrosive material. So plastic would be the rule of choice again. Brass generally is okay, but there is opportunity for brass to erode and also corrode depending on the kind of stuff we're putting in the water. There's times when we can be injecting fertilizer all the time into drip water. Just micromanaging that fertilizer and always injecting very small doses so that water is always enriched every minute of every day. Well, if you have the wrong kind of metals, it'll attack that, and over time it's going to eat it up. It's not going to happen in a plastic valve, so plastic works pretty good. And stainless steel, you have to be aware there's different kinds of stainless steel. There just isn't one kind of stainless steel. Stainless steel is an alloy, a steel alloy, and there's a whole bunch of different varieties of stainless steel. Some have better corrosion resistance to certain chemicals than others. So you have to know your stainless when you're buying stainless, if you're using stainless steel valve. Now, hey, who's going to cost more, a stainless steel valve or a plastic valve? That stainless steel valve is going to cost multiples more money than a plastic valve. What kind of pressures are we running? Well, in drip we're running very low pressures, so we're not having to worry about these things blowing up. You know, that's not the issue. So you don't need to have something that has a 200 psi rating. Cripes, we're probably never going to have a greater pressure on a drip system about 50 psi. You know, that's a pretty high pressure in a drip system. And that's usually on the front end of the filter. Once we get past the filter, it's not uncommon to see the pressure is no greater than 25 or 30 psi. Very, very low pressure. So we can use, you know, compression fit stuff and all kinds of material out there downstream of these valves that are very, very user-friendly, inexpensive. They don't have to be thick-walled because they don't have to withstand a lot of pressure, so they're easy to handle. But you have a lot of it. You're going to have every row gets a lateral. So if we're out here growing tomatoes on 40-inch centers, every 40 inches we have a row or a lateral of drip tube. So we have a lot of miles of tube in a field. Out here in the cottonwoods, every 6 or 7 feet wide or 10 feet wide, they got a row of trees. I think it's 10 foot between the rows and 6 or 7 feet in the row. That's the grid for the trees. So every 10 foot you got a tube running down the field. They're starting to run things like potatoes and cotton under drip, and they're doing it. Onions. And they're still relatively experimental with the crops up here in the Northwest. They don't have a lot of acres, but they've been doing it for 3 or 4 years now and are learning the economics of it, finding out if it's worth the extra money per acre to justify the yield and the quality. And as they prove that out, it'll either be a go or it'll be a no. But they're in process of filtering that out in their operations. You know, it takes more than 1 year of operation to really know what it costs for a new farming practice. Because you got to lay the stuff out. Now, you got a choice. You put it above ground or you bury it. You know, that's the first consideration you have to look at. Most of these vegetables are burying the drip down maybe 6 to 8 inches deep. Then they have to seed right over the rows, so everything has to be precision. In fact, oftentimes the drip goes in with the seed. It's a one-shot operation. They do it all in one machine doing it all, laying the pipe and putting down the seed right behind it, so it's right in row. And then they have to figure out the cost of recouping that pipe at the end of the season if they're going to recycle it. And over time they'll find out just what the total expenses are of those operations, and then we'll find out if it's really going to be a really strong, viable option for some of these row crops. They grow lots of tomatoes that way already. They grow watermelon in this region is mostly all grown under drip. And you go down into Southern California, you'll see lots of stuff growing drip. Price of water is so high that you'll find that most of the crops are being grown under some kind of drip system. Strawberries, all those strawberry fields in that country, all grown with drip and Visqueen, some kind of plastic cover. So they're trapping all that water. They're not letting anything evaporate. The crop's going to use every drop of water. They trap all the water underneath a plastic cover. And the only water that escapes is out the leaves of the plants through transpiration. So they're getting, you know, as close to 100% efficiency as you can get.